welcome back to the Cheltenham Countdown YouTube channel, and with just a week to go before the start of the 2025 Cheltenham Festival. For the next 4 days I'll be previewing each day of the festival right here, and today is the first day's preview of course. The opening day is always special to us racing fans. It always kicks off with a brilliant start to the festival, and this year is no different as the festival kicks off with 4 Grade 1s and some brilliant action on track. I'm going to give some selections over the course of the next 4 days, so subscribe to the channel to watch each episode this week, and of course comment your views and selections. I do read every comment you guys post. Like the videos too, it does massively go a long way to me and does boost everything in the process. Incidentally, I will be there for each day of the festival next week, and like I've said before, the purpose of the Cheltenham Countdown is to build up and provide all the information necessary towards the festival each year. My final selections will be posted every morning of the festival on Twitter, Instagram, and I'll do my best to share them here as well if I can, to keep you all updated. I'm excited for it all to start now, and I'm sure you guys are too. So with just 7 days left to go, the countdown is almost done. The first race of the festival is the Michael O'Sullivan Supreme Novices Hurdle, and the market currently at the moment, you have Copec de Boards as the outright favourite at 4-5, Romeo Coolio at 6-1 for Gordon Elliott, Salvatore Mundi at 6-1, Work Ahead is a 10-1 shot, and William Money is 12-1. It's bar 16-1. My view on Supreme this year: the Irish dominate this race as they have done for so many years now, and they'll be winning it again this time around. But with which horse though? I'll start off with Copec de Boards. He looked mightily impressive in winning the Grade 1 Novice Hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival. He travelled immensely through the race that day and cantered home well ahead of a horse I actually do quite like before in Carnique. He was a bit keen to start off with at Leopardstown and probably will want a bit of a quick start to this year's Supreme, which he'll probably likely get from others once the starter's flag does go down in the opener. I just wonder how his temperament will be before and during the Supreme, as he does have a tendency to boil over somewhat. But once he settles and relaxes more, he is a good traveller and does stay well, which will be very important after all the energy he's exerted before in the race. His form is good following his maiden hurdle win at Leopardstown in December, where he beat Cowabunga of the same stable by just under 3 lengths. That horse then, who's unfortunately out injured this year, has gone on to win a maiden hurdle at Fairhouse in late January. I'd suspect Paul Townend as well will definitely ride Copec de Boards, and of course he is the rightful favourite for the Supreme. Moving on to Romeo Coolio now, who I did put up as my first Antipus pick of my series back in November at 10-1. He's done everything right this season, bar coming second in the Royal Bond at Fairhouse in December. That though was a strange race that day, and I'm sure Connections would have felt a bit disappointed that he didn't win the race with this horse. Had he won the Royal Bond though, I'm sure he would be fighting for favouritism for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Since then, he's won a Grade 1, the Grade 1 Future Champions, I should say, Novice Hurdle at Leopardstown over Christmas. He'll definitely want it to be a quick run race, as he is a good finisher, and he did finish second in last year's Champion Bumper over the course. I do believe he's the solid option in the race, and I cannot see him out of the first 3. So, as an each-way bet, he's not a bad price as well. Salvatore Mundi now. I firmly believe he does not jump good enough to be a quick for this kind of race, albeit he won the Moscow Flyer in Punchestone after 242 days off the track. I just don't think Cheltenham would play to his strengths. I honestly think the occasion, the track, and his jumping will let him down. He pulls too hard, he's very keen, and he most certainly will not get his own way here. He ran the Triumph Hurdle last year, finished 6th, and that race obviously does look good form on paper. However, with his 2 runs since, the form has lacked any sort of substance. I'd say it was a very weak Moscow Flyer that he won in Punchestone, and that run at Tipperary, which he won by 62 lengths at the start of the season, was horrendous. No form to it whatsoever. Obviously, he can only beat what's in front of him, but I'd happily take him on after only running once since May last year, which was obviously the Moscow Flyer. Work Ahead next, who was an interesting runner for Henry de Bromhead with 2 runs this campaign. He finished 3rd behind Jasmine DeVoe at Navan before winning his maiden hurdle at Leopardstown over Christmas, where in the process he also beat a fair few horses who have come out and won since. The 2nd, 3rd and 5th have all won races subsequently, so he's a very much an underrated type in this race that may not be on many people's radar. Yet I think he could be a decent each way player as well. Henry de Bromhead won this race last year, of course, with Slade Steel. So now it's down to the selection time. And with Copec boards so short for this opener, I'm going to be bold and take him on. I'll be sticking with my first Antipus pick of my series, Romeo Coolio. The Arkle Novices Chase next on day 1 of the festival, and the market currently, you have Majbra, a very heavy short price favourite at the moment at 4-7. Lieu de Sud for Dan Skelton is 9-2. Ballyburn is in here 6-1, probably won't run here, will probably go to the Brown Advisory on the 2nd day. Django Bay is 8-1, Touch Me Not 12-1, Only By Night is also 12-1 for Gavin Cromwell, but it's bar for everything else. I've got another Antipus tip in this race that I've been banging on about all year long in my series, and it comes obviously with Majbra, who I selected back in December at 14-1, which does look a very healthy slip at the moment. Now he does set the standard in this year's renewal, especially without Sergino in this race. He could go off a lot shorter as well, I feel, so just bear that in mind. And I firmly put him as a banker material for the festival. For a big horse, he does jump quickly and does have a good turn of foot. He's got better with both his runs this season as well. And I think the only thing that will stop him from winning this race, unfortunately, could be if he clouts a fence or two over the course of the trip. He won the Triumph Hurdle last year, of course, on only his 2nd start for the stable. So he does and has already won the festival so short in his career. I can't see many horses turning up for the Arkle now, and even the UK horses don't look as strong as they did earlier in the season. Now, speaking of the UK horses, on to the best of the UK horses this year with Lieu de Sud for Dan Skelton. He's done nothing wrong all season, of course, with 4 victories from 4 runs. Yet I do think he does need to improve a lot more to get to Majbra's level. As I said, he's done everything right, but I just feel he flatters to deceive a bit, and his wins are harder than what they look. He does grind out his wins workmanlike, whereas if you compare that with Majbra, he puts his rivals aside with such ease. It may come down to the last few fences where Lieu de Sud does have course form this season, but I don't think he's come up against a beast like Majbra before. I'm not sure as well if the drying ground is really what he needs. Clearly Majbra likes good to soft ground, but does Dan Skelton's horse want it softer on the day? I wonder. Now my selection is going to be a bit boring. I'm going to stick with my Antipus tip in Majbra, who I back, like I said, at 14-1. It is an Antipus pick in my series, and I firmly believe he's going to win this Arkle Novices Chase on the 2nd race of the festival. Moving on to the first handicap of the festival, and it's the Ultima over 3 miles. The Changing Man is your 6-1 favourite. Crebilli and Johnny Who are 10-1 for JP McManus. Masaccio is 10-1. Whistle Stop Tour also 10-1. Broadway Boy also 10s and is 12-1 bar. I'm yet to decide on an outright selection so far for the Ultima this season. I do like Crebilli, but not for this race. I like him for the plate on Thursday. There's been a fair few favourites chopped and changed over the course of the last fair few months, and I would take on the Changing Man as the current market leader. There's going to be some more horses coming out of this race before next week, so I'm still undecided on who may be a good price come the day. For now, I think Famous Bridge is a decent each way shot for Nicky Richards, who finished 4th in this race last year. He is currently 20-1 in places with some firms, and he won the Grand National Trial at Haydock last month, and he won't mind a bit of better ground too as well. So I'll probably be siding with Famous Bridge, if anyone, each way at 20-1. Check with your firms as well regarding how many each way places you can get for the Ultima. It is a handicap. You could get about maybe 5 or 6 places on the day if you shop around. Up next is another grade 1, the Mares Hurdle over 2.5 miles. Market at the moment, and now with brighter days ahead heading the way of the Champion Hurdle, the market looks fairly open with the likes of Jada Grugy, July Flower, Golden Ace, Carges, Carla Conti and Woodhull near the top. You've got all the mares near the top of the market. Lossiemouth is in there as well, just in case they decide to run her in this race. Now, Jade Grugy comes into this race off one run all season, winning the Grade 3 Quevega Mares Hurdle at Punchstone last month. Really well, she won that race really well. I couldn't write her off for Willie Mullins after Willie Mullins' record in this race. And the same as well goes for July Flower, who's the one start of the season was a win at Leopardstown in December for Henry de Bromhead. Those two mares, I think, set the standard if Lossiemouth and Brighter Days Ahead are confirmed and declared for the Champion Hurdle. Jada Grugy's won all her races over the Mares Hurdle trip, which leads me to thinking she loved the old course at Cheltenham. I think you can draw a line through her Mares and Officers Hurdle race at last year's festival, as she came out 2 weeks later and won a Grade 1 at Fairhouse despite her loss at Cheltenham. July Flower's Grade 3 win at Leopardstown over Christmas was good, although there were 2 hurdles omitted that day, which does suggest to me that she stays well and even has some pace to boot in the process. I think if the other 2 superstar mares in Bright Days Ahead and Lossiemouth do definitely go to the Champion Hurdle, then it's between Jada Grugy and July Flower this year in the Mares Hurdle. Now, my selection, I'm going to have to wait at the moment in terms of who I pick, but the difference between the two is the ground. And if the drying ground, as we expect, between now and the festival continues, then I'll side with July Flower. However, if there is a surprising downpour, then Jada Grugy has a better chance. So I'll be weather watching now for the next week or two, or for the next week I should say, and see what sort of ground Cheltenham does have on the opening day of the festival. At 4 p.m. next Tuesday, the Champion Hurdle has arguably the matchup of the week, with Constitution Hill aiming to regain his crown, going up against Bright Days Ahead, Lossiemouth and current champion Statesman. The market, which is important at the moment, Constitution Hill is 4-6, Bright Days Ahead is 2-1, Lossiemouth is 11-2, and Statesman is best priced 9-1, and the rest are much bigger. It's an intriguing battle, one we all can't wait for, and tactics will be very, very interesting. Who goes off out in front? Will it be a test of stamina, or will it come down to a lot of speed up the hill? I can't wait for this race on the first day. One thing's for sure, I firmly believe Nico de Boinville can ride Constitution Hill any way Nico likes. He's versatile, there's no problem travelling and running, and he is of course the best jumper in the race. My only worry is the tactics, and will Team Gordon Elliott make it so hard for Constitution Hill that, and Nico de Boinville in the process, that will they make it so hard for him that they will have to start chasing the pack early? And if so, how much leeway will they give the pace setter? I presume King of Kingsfield for Gordon Elliott will do exactly the same at Leopardstown over Christmas and make it quite early ahead of the field. But then again, Constitution Hill's best performance was in the Supreme in 2022 when the pace was so fast that day and he won by a country mile. It's going to be so fascinating how the race pans out, but I do think Constitution Hill is so versatile that he can manage the race tactics. Now moving on to Bright Days Ahead, the superstar mare. She's going to be running here now and definitely adds a lot more interest to the race and spice to the contest. She's all class, although her only defeat came here at the festival last year in the Mares and Officers Hurdle. She's been exceptional this season, putting away Statesman twice. She has the stamina to make it difficult for her opponents and will receive £7 off the other geldings, which is very, very pivotal. That could prove crucial as well come the end of a gruelling, tough race. Lossiemouth is also an intended runner, and she's awesome at Cheltenham, winning the Triumph Hurdle and the Mares Hurdle. I think Cheltenham and the festival itself does bring out the best in her. Although will her bad fall last time out at the DRF make it difficult for her to recover and be back to any sort of her best? I'd honestly think Paul Townend will choose to ride Statesman rather than her. And that may be down to the severity of her fall at Leopardstown too. And if that's the case, I really feel she'll be on the drift on the day. Unfortunately, I'm disregarding Lossiemouth in this race, and it's between Constitution Hill and Bright Days Ahead, in my opinion. Now, my selection for the race, it's going to be tough, but if you were to pin me down, I'm with Constitution Hill for the Champion Hurdle this year. I really can't see how Lossiemouth can turn the tables with him from Kempton. Nicky Henderson says he looks as good as ever. Bright Days Ahead, I feel, will need some luck in the race and maybe a mistake or two from Constitution Hill to allow her any chance to win. I can't see any mistake coming from the Constitution Hill, and hopefully he can regain and win his crown, which he couldn't claim last year, of course, with the injury that he suffered for Nicky Henderson. Let's hope it's going to be a belter of a race, and it comes down to may the best horse win on the day. Next handicap of the meeting is the Fred Winter Juvenile hurdle over 2 miles. Stencil is the favourite at the moment at 11-2 best priced. Total Look at 6-1. Willie de Huel at 7-1. Naturally Nimble at 10-1. And Lady Vega Allen is also 10-1. This 12-1 bar. I've already backed Holy See in this race. He was in my Antipus series at 20-1. He's now up to 25-1 best priced. But I wouldn't rule him out each way perhaps on the day. He's off a mark of 125, so will be carrying 10 stone 11 on the day. There are some good types in here. Who knows if it's going to be one of them that wins or a better handicapped horse. I think Holy See is one of them well handicapped types, although did disappoint last time out at Nace when heavily backed. That's my only concern with my selection in this race. If Stencil wins, it will be a valuable form boost to East India Dock for the Triumph Hurdle on the Friday. So I may have another pick to make it 2 selections on the day, but I'll also have Holy See as one of them that I've already tipped up. So I'll have Holy See as definitely as 1 selection each way. May have another as well on the day. I'll keep you all posted on that in this Fred Winter race. The last race on day 1 concludes with a National Hunt Chase for novices, and which is now into a limited handicap over 3 miles 6 furlongs. So it is a marathon trip, of course. Now is the hour is 4-1. Haiti Couleur is also 4-1. Transmission is 7-1 along with Captain Cody. And my pick, Sam Majest, is still there at 12-1. Although it could run in Thursday's Kimure. So hopefully it doesn't run in Thursday's Kimure, of course, as I've tipped him up for this race. So like I said, I've got an Antipus play. I tipped Sam Majest back up in January at 14-1. We still don't know, like I said, if he's going to run in this race or Thursday's Kimure. So we'll have to wait and see where he is declared. But he is off 1-4-2 in this race, so is not best treated, unfortunately. A lot of people are tipping up Transmission, and he's very well treated for this one off 133. He's got a good chance. I'd probably also want a horse who's got good Cheltenham form over a trip like this. And Haiti Couleur, who won here earlier in the season with Sean Bowen for Rebecca Curtis, does fit that bill, and he wouldn't be a bad choice. My selection, well, personally, I think it's going to come down to one at the top of the market again. Therefore, until I know anything different, I'm going to be sticking with Sam Majest, unless he runs elsewhere, of course. Unless he runs in Thursday's Kimure, I'll stick with my selection, Sam Majest. So thank you all for watching for the first of 4 preview days on the Cheltenham Countdown for this year's festival. Of course, I'll have all my best bets and naps for every day of the festival when I give my selections day by day. Incidentally, I have a nap for the festival, which will be out tomorrow, and day 2 is preview, so stay tuned. I've got a nap for the entire festival tomorrow. But on today, it's a belting opening day. The day 1 has got 4 grade 1s in store. It's arguably the best day of the 4 in terms of action. If you're going to Cheltenham for any day of the week next week, enjoy it. It's a cracking experience. I hope you really have enjoyed this first preview episode by myself. This time next week, it will all have started, guys. So like, comment and subscribe, all the usual things on my platform. And I'll see you all back for the day 2 preview. Thanks for watching.